Brad Williams, Frugal Finance, loan amortization, home loans, car loans. A lot of ways to do this. Don't let all of this information intimidate you. I'm going to walk you through this, and I'm going to try to summarize it and allow you to do this on your own. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Loans, such as home mortgage loans and car loans, are repaid in equal periodic payments. Part of each payment is interest on the outstanding balance of the loan. Part is payment of principal. After each payment, the outstanding balance is reduced by the amount of principal repaid. Therefore, the portion of the payment that goes towards the payment of interest is lower than the previous period's interest payment, and the portion going towards repayment of principal is greater than the previous period's. Amortization table. I'm going to show you an amortization table down here, but let me walk you through the example. For example, let's assume you take out a $12,000 car loan at an interest rate of 6% per year to be repaid in 60 monthly installments. First, calculate the monthly payments by finding the payments. This is the Excel function that we use that has a present value of $12,500 when discounted at 6% for 5 years for 60 payments. That'll be 9%. Computing car payments. What is the monthly car payment on a 5-year loan of $12,500 at 6% compounded monthly? Nominal annual interest rate is 6% per year. Period interest rate, 6% per year or 0.5% per month. Number of interest periods, 5 years times 365 days divided by year is equal 825 interest periods. A is equal to this formula. Okay, I don't use this, but for you engineers, you can do whatever you need to do. Here, all we're doing is the annuity A equals 12,500 times 1 plus 0.6 divided by 2 to the 30. So this is 5 years times 12. Computing the car payment, what is the monthly car payment on a 5-year loan of $12,500 at 6% compounded monthly? Well, we can use this payment function. This is the nice thing. One of the very few things that are relatively good for Excel. Here we have this 241.66. We're taking the payment, and I've shown you this a number of times. We're taking our interest rate, 6%, because this is on a monthly basis. We're going to divide that by 12. The number of periods, again, just highlight this. You're going to have your rate. You have your number of periods. If you stumble here, just hit this function key, and it's going to walk you through. You can enter this information independently. So you have this rate, and it'll tell you what's going on here. You go down to the number of periods. It'll give you a summary. And then it calculates the payments for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. You have your present value, which is going to give you just a brief notation. Then you have your future value and the type. So you can walk through independently on each of these and get an idea. If you stumble, you can always hit F1 on your keyboard. It's going to have help, and you can just type in whatever it is up here in the search. Or in here, if you're stumbling with present value or number of periods or just anything within Excel, hit F1 and then whatever you're searching for. So here, our monthly payment, it's going to be $241.66. I went ahead and just used, this is what I learned a long time ago, before there was Microsoft, before there was Excel, before there were computers. So this is not foreign to me. And I suggest that you work through these things so you can see the logic. I don't expect you to memorize this formula, but if you can understand the logic here, we have to use some type of methodology. And so if you can look backwards here, you have this payment, and then the payments, it has a rate and a number of periods and the present value. And then in the end, with Excel, that's the bottom line number. But this is the formula. So think of the logic. Where's the payment part of this? Where's the interest rate? Why are we going out to 60? Why are we dividing? Why are we multiplying? And I want you to figure it out. Then we have a cumulative. You logically sit there and ask, well, 60 periods, I'm paying 241. Would it not make sense to multiply 241 times the total number of payments? Yeah. So we have 14,500, but we'll be able to compute it from another formula. going down. We're going to number of interest periods, 5 times 12, 60 interest periods. So here's the formula, and then I just did it again. Payment, and then I just repeat it again. I do this because I'm trying to lead to something here. This should be the exact same thing as this right here. Now, the question is, what's the total interest paid? Well, here, it's very simple. The loan amount is 12 grand, but the cumulative amount is 14.5. So couldn't you just subtract 14.5 from 12.5 and come up with 2 grand in a back of an envelope type of approach? Well, yeah. So now the next question is, you have this 1587 K22 times 5. Here we have this 317 12.5 times K21. K21 is this factor, and that's 0.025. So this is something on a quarterly basis, not relative. What we did is we took, you notice we were saying up here, we took 0.06. We took 0.06 of this 84.3. This is your factor, and then we have this 0.025. 0.06 divided by 4. It's a factor, so we went 317, 1825. Again, I doodle. And I was doodling, and I don't remember exactly why I was doodling. It has to do something with compounding. So I took 5, that's the number of 5 years, 365. It's just how many days are in a 5-year period, 1825. So I was probably doing some kind of continuous compounding, not relevant. But you can work through these numbers and go, okay, I see what you're trying to do, Brad. So the monthly payment is $241.66. In the first year, how much of the 12.5 minus 10.29, how much of this is interest? Well, I kind of did the logic in front of you. The interest is going to be here. We're going to take some F40. Well, again, I kind of jump ahead of myself here. What I did is in terms of my doodling, I decided, well, why don't I put together an amortization table? What is an amortization table? You're going to take your 12.5, you have your monthly payments. We're going to break this down into the interest rate. So our monthly interest rate factor is going to be 6%. That's the annual. We're going to divide that by 12. This is monthly. All we're going to do is take this E40, that's going to be your factor, times C40. This is the loan amount. So $62.50 is your monthly interest. All you're going to do is subtract this $62.50 from the $241. We're going to get a principal reduction of $179.16, and you're going to subtract that from 12.5. Then your first year interest principal is C40 minus H51. So what I did is I went down 12 periods. I just probably summed up whatever the interest payments are and subtracted. You don't have to use formulas. What I'm saying is, if you get stuck in the weeds, you can create these tables, and then you can do the simple add and subtract, and you're going to notice there's probably some hidden rows right here, 56 to 88, because there's 60 periods, and I didn't want to show 60 rows. You can see your monthly payment. I probably just added this up. So you can see your interest is going to be $1999.60. Your principal is going to be $12.5. Why? Well, you just sum it up. And then here, $14,499, there's probably one extra payment in there. So if you took out this $499.60, it looks like 2 months. I don't know why this is D40, D99. I don't know why this is higher. Yeah, it is. It's 12.5. So 14.5 is the total monthly payment because the loan amount was 12.5. Sorry about that. And then here's your interest, here's your principal, and that's it. Let's not make this any more confusing than what is just simply this map. Now, you're going to get into the practice of using Excel. Why? Because it's so much faster. And once you understand the tools, you're going to go, all right, I get it. So instead of doing this, the interest and principal, why don't we just start using some of the tools? We have this iPayment tool within Excel. And I want you to go through and look at the logic as to what it's supposed to do. We're going to have this principal payment, and that's going to be this number right here, whatever this $189.16. So what's the interest payment for month 12? Then what's the car payment? $241. We already know that. And then what's the cumulative interest payment for the first year? It's going to be this $689. Now you could just do that sum feature, or you can use this other tool, this cumulative interest payment, which is cum IPT. Then you can do the same thing with principal. You can just sum them up. A lot of tools available, use them. If we were to look at this from a different perspective, how about you buy a new car and borrow $35,000 for 5 years at 6% per year, compounded monthly. What is the monthly payment? If you don't remember what we were doing, up here, just go back up here. Remember it says monthly payment? I explained the steps here. All we're doing here is just changing what we're borrowing. And then if you want to use this old school method, feel free to do so. You have a 3-year, $20,000 car loan, monthly payments at 8%. What is the interest and principal payment for the final payment? Here, I'm going to allow you to go through and work this out. Use the different tools and then look through and try to logically figure out what's going on here. It's all about patience, trying to get an understanding of what Excel is trying to accomplish, and then look at these formulas and get an understanding what the formulas are doing. Brad Williams, Frugal Finance. Thanks for watching.